Up in New York, January 8th, 2018, which was literally the peak market cap day for 2 years. Today, there are 58 active chapters around the world, the largest IRL community in Web3. And actually, the name of my talk today is 10 bold thoughts on community, because I kind of feel like a community savant, but I also feel like the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. In that we're at the very beginning of, I think, really leveraging what community can be. But real quick, how did I learn about community? My crypto journey. The second digital company I ran was called Bolt. We were the largest social network in the world before MySpace peaked at 23 million kids in 2006, and I really had no idea what I was doing. So I did a lot of acquisitions because I didn't know how to grow traffic. I did 8 acquisitions in 3 years I was running that, including I was the first person called Zuckerberg and offered to buy Facebook, and so I saw that from its birth. And after Bolt, I invested in community companies that I'd learned about community, including Meetup, which is why I originally started my first Meetup group. Fast forward, I held a conference call. Crypto was going up and to the right in 2017. I held a conference call on June 29th, 2017. And I had, well, now what I say is I saw the crypto light. And what I saw was, for the first time in history, we now have a tool set to solve for the community instead of the man in the middle. And I was in a manic state for 3 months because I had kind of seen the future, but I didn't know, I didn't have a construct to understand what it was. It took me 3 months, and literally I was not sleeping well. And I published my construct, and I write for me, I don't know what I think till I read what I've written about it, and most of the time nobody cares, but this was the most read thing tagged crypto on Medium for 3 days, after which, according to Medium, I was the 3rd most influential crypto blogger in the world, which was awesome. It proved 2 things. One, it did 2 things. One, it made me a guy in crypto, which was great. And the second and more relevant thing for this discussion is that it proved the first of my 7 thoughts on crypto, and also about community, which is that nobody knows anything. We're at the very beginning of this journey with regards to crypto, and I still believe this. The only thing I'm certain of is that whatever it turns out to be is different than what anybody thinks it's going to be. And I talk about it. There is obviously a significant tech perspective to what's going on in crypto, and from a tech perspective, as I see it, there are a series of technologies: blockchain, cryptocurrency, smart contracts, zero knowledge proof, that in combination are enabling decentralization. And decentralization is that there's no man in the middle running things. Things are run by the community. And but there's also an ethos perspective beyond what the tech is for a lot of people in Web3. And to me, it was best explained in this book called Sacred Economics, which is the most amazing thing I've read on either community or money. And there's a line in there that says that, where the author is talking about, that spoke to me, that he felt like he grew up in a culture of greed, which is how I feel, and he talked about that there are other cultures. There are cultures of giving, culture of generosity, and to me that's what crypto is about, and Web3. And to me, I go around, I define community. I start with the community is an ecosystem where, when it works, everyone gets more out of it than they give. And it kind of sounds antithetical in a lot of ways, at least to what I was taught growing up. And to me, in a community, it's about giving your members utility. And you can give them money, and that's what a lot of communities in crypto do. But there's a problem with money, in that if you give somebody $1, it's costing you more than $1 to actually give that to them. So from a community perspective, you're not building value. Bitcoin, what Bitcoin gives its community members is a Bitcoin for providing the security for the network. And so it doesn't cost the Bitcoin community anything to produce this thing, but it's now quite valuable. So there's been tremendous value given to the community members in Bitcoin. And I learned about different utility you can give your community members when I was running Bolt, this social network, and we had advertisers trying to give us lots of money if we could get kids to interact with the advertising. We couldn't pay them enough, but what we figured out is we could give them status in our community by giving them a badge that would scroll around their profile conferring status in our community. It didn't cost us anything to provide them the status, but about 10% of our community would do anything that we wanted, asked them to do, and some of them were fun, and some of them were to help us make some money. We were giving them value, and they were giving us value. So it was a win for everybody, and we were able to build a nice business around that. So it's super, I think, that important to understand it's the non-cash incentives that really drive communities. And at the atomic level, communities, two people. And we've all been in two-person communities where 1 + 1 equaled 100. And so I believe if you live in a land of community, you live in a land of abundance. This is, I think, the biggest insight in my years thinking about community. And that's that my belief that a community can scale highly correlated to what I call value delta. So in other words, a community produces something for community members at a cost of X, and community members get it and they value it at Y. And the bigger the difference between X and Y, the bigger the community can become. And that's why, if you think about it, the biggest communities in the world are the things with the biggest value delta. And we have a collective name for those things. We call those things religions. They produce a book, it costs a religion 25 cents to produce a book, and how much do people value salvation at? And that's why they scaled to billions of people and lasted thousands of years. So the people in that community, they are getting tremendous utility from being members of that community. And so, again, it's this concept that the more value that the member thinks that they're getting from the good provided, the bigger your community is going to become. And number 8, one of the things that I'm super excited about, I really think that AI is going to help us get community better and help us build the tooling to really maximize the value that we're able to drive out of communities. Because in some ways, in a lot of ways, to me, it feels, and I think a lot of people in the room, that the world's going in the wrong direction. I think for a lot of people, community and really being able to get involved with communities and having more of your life run by communities instead of by governments could be a better way forward. And so, to me, one of the exciting things too is as this tooling gets better and better, that the opportunity for 2 communities, 5 communities, 100 communities who have some shared ethos to get together and leverage their communities to really make the world a better place, I think that opportunity is going to be massive. If you're thinking about growing your own community, it might be the major lesson that I learned from running community running both the social network, that building community is really all about one thing. It's about engagement of your community members. And you're either growing the engagement of your community members, or your community is dying. And it's really hard to continue to grow and grow and grow the engagement of your community. Probably the most online, most impressive community that I've seen is Facebook. I wrote a Wall Street show. I've been a Wall Street analyst for the first third of my career, and I saw Facebook for what it was. March of 2010, I published a Wall Street style research report, first one in 10 years. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I followed it, and was a big bull until Q4 17, when for the first time in its history, they reported their first decrease in engagement. And they said on the conference call, for the first time in history, engagement went down on Facebook. And they said this on the call because we decided to try and stop people from doing the number one thing people want to do on Facebook, which is read fake news. And yeah, I mean, it's funny, except it's not, and their engagement went down for 3 quarters, and then it started going up again. And, I wrote when it started going up, pretty sure they're turning on the fake news spigot again, which, Brittany Kaiser and Cambridge Analytica, brought to light a couple years later. And so I've been writing about actually since before I saw the crypto light that, that actually what I saw as the world's biggest problem, what I called FAMDA, which is that Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and Google were eating the world, that they were capturing an ever larger share of technology market cap, and that was great for them and their shareholders, but I really think horrific for the rest of humanity. And here we are 8.5 years later. It's gone a lot worse than I had anticipated. You can add now NVIDIA to that, and those 6 companies in combination have captured more than 70% of all the market cap of the NASDAQ 100 in the last 10 years, and their percentage is going up. And so I apologize for the language, that today, with the moment that we're at, we're in a war for the soul of the universe with FAMDA. And to me, it seems like they're the Death Star, and the people in crypto, we're the good guys. I'm forgetting the Star Wars. What were the good guys called in Star Wars? The Force. We're the Force. And we're here trying to make a better place. And it's really feels like to me, for the soul of a lot of people in crypto, I think for the soul of humanity, which today really means for a decentralized AI alternative for us to use. The AI is even more concentrated, the wealth concentration there, which is, by the way, by FAMDA, right? They're controlling AI today. They're the ones deciding what truth is going to be, what we decide. So for me, this is what the war is. This is why I'm out there building community, working on crypto. I don't feel responsible for the way the world is, but I do feel weirdly responsible for the world I'm leaving my 3 kids. Yeah.